Hi, I want to talk for just a moment about this week's assignment because we seem to have a little bit of confusion with some of it. If we look at the assignment, it says we are to talk about the marketing strategy problem, 1 to 3 pages, and that we should describe the current situation and identify the specific marketing strategy problem. Now, we want to make sure we understand what marketing strategy is and what a marketing strategy problem is. A marketing strategy problem is not, we need more customers, we need more sales. That's not a marketing strategy problem. That's a revenue problem. Marketing strategy problems are much more specific. We may actually have to go back and look a little bit about what our understanding of marketing is. Maybe we have kind of got off track on what some of the cores of marketing is. So I'm going to run through a couple of quick review things here, which I think will help us focus down on this particular assignment. Starting with what is marketing? Now, I'm pretty sure you've all had marketing, but let's just recap it briefly. I think a couple of the best definitions of marketing are from a guy named Hunt, who's a well-known researcher and published author inside this area. He says the fundamental question in marketing is why do which buyers purchase what they do, where they do, when they do, and how they do. But that really gets to the whole concept of marketing, which is about particular target markets or segments. A parallel question, that is, why do particular sellers produce, price, promote, and distribute what they do, where they do, when they do, and how they do. And that's part of your marketing strategy problem. What are you going to produce? How are you going to price it? How are you going to promote it? And where are you going to distribute it? Those are problems. Those are questions that you have to solve in your marketing strategy, which is how are we going to market? In other words, how are we going to get our product into the hands of the end user? So we're going to look at, what is strategy? Well, strategy in our book for this particular course on page 30 says marketing strategy is the way a company goes about creating value for customers. The strategy should also provide an effective way of dealing with both competition and eventual technological obsolescence by making sure value is delivered in a way that is not easily duplicated by other companies and not defined only in terms of the tangible product. Now that sounds quite a bit like something you've probably heard about before, called sustainable competitive advantage. Sustainable competitive advantage is some advantage that cannot be easily copied, acquired, or purchased by the competition. That sustainable competitive advantage is what allows a company to maintain position in the market and maintain or grow profitability. We have to remember that a successful firm is only successful because they have achieved a sustainable competitive advantage. That doesn't mean the market's not going to change. It doesn't mean competition won't change. It doesn't mean that we won't have to change what we're doing. But it means that our approach to the market, how we position ourselves to the market, is something which will be stable over time. So strategy is really answers those questions of how are we going to deliver value to the customers. It's how we are going to make our product known in the market. Now, there's various strategies out there. There's niche strategies. There could be diversification strategy. It could be market development strategy. It could be product development strategy. These are things we look at in core marketing classes, which we're now trying to apply in a consumer behavior class. For example, if you're using a market development strategy from another textbook, that basically employs existing market offerings to reach new markets. In other words, you're taking something that you already have and putting it into a new target market. That's a market development strategy. Well, a problem with that market development strategy might be identifying a new market. In other words, we need a new market. We need to expand into a different market. But we have to first identify that market before we can develop a strategy to get in that market. So the problem here in this particular case assignment is not defining we need a new market. It's defining the markets you need to get into and then identifying the problem of getting into that market. So this is a much deeper discussion and a much more applicable and applied use of the concepts from both your Principles of Marketing class and the textbook here to take a problem and apply it at a deeper level. So make sure that you're looking at a true marketing strategy problem, which means you've defined a problem, not a goal, not an objective, which is let's increase sales by 20% or increase pricing by 3.5%. Those may be part of your strategy. Those may be part of your process. But your strategy problem is what is in the way of you implementing and applying your product into the particular market you've chosen. The assignment does say make sure you use concepts from this class and address whether it's perhaps something of affect or cognition, behavior, environment, or some combination thereof. Again, we want to make sure you're using class concepts from the textbook cited in this paper. On the second part of the paper, consumer issues, again, it says, make sure you describe the customer segment that is most relevant to the marketing problem. Again, this is really going to get into target marketing, something you should bring forward from your previous marketing class, which is not going to be discussed in as much detail in this book because this is a consumer behavior book and not a principles book. But your target market is that highly defined, narrow group of customers or prospects, actually, who are trying to turn into customers, which you are now trying to address through a particular marketing strategy, which will then result in a particular set of advertising and communication strategies. But make sure that you've identified in this paper this target market you're looking for. You can't go to market until you identify that target market, because the difference between going to professional woodworkers or hobby woodworkers, for example, is very different. They're both very valid target markets, but their demographics, their spending patterns, their purchasing process, their usage, their replacement are all vastly different. So your strategy problems and how to penetrate and grow those markets could be substantially different. So let's keep plugging. Be sure you dig in these processes, and let's keep moving.